What brutal karma hit a person moments after they triggered the ultimate plot twist. Story 1. I used to do payroll at a mid-sized construction firm. Everyone knew our CFO, Brent, as Mr. Rules. He'd pop into the break room to scold people about paper clips. So when our receptionist Mara got called into HR for time theft because she clocked in 2 minutes early to pee, we were all furious but not surprised. A month later, I'm reconciling expense accounts and notice weird duplicates. Same vendor, same amounts, different dates. I flag it to HR. HR says, let Brent handle it. Cool. Then Brent schedules an all-hands meeting titled Integrity. I'm sitting in row 3 thinking, oh no. Brent comes out like a televangelist. He's got a PowerPoint, charts, red arrows, the works. He says he's uncovered a coordinated fraud ring in payroll. He clicks to a slide with my name highlighted in neon red. His big ultimate plot twist is that I've been issuing ghost paychecks to myself. The room gasps. Mara actually starts crying. She thinks she could be next. Brent turns to the CEO and says, I recommend immediate termination and prosecution. I've already called our board's legal counsel. He looks straight at me and does this smug little shrug like, gotcha. The CEO doesn't even glance at me. He just says, before we do that, can you pull up the folder you sent to the board this morning? The one labeled evidence? Brent frowns but clicks. Instead of opening, a bunch of notifications explode onto the projector. Outlook is auto-previewing his sent items. And there it is, top of the list, in huge font. Wire transfer confirmation. Cayman Holdings, urgent. Followed by 3 more with the same subject line. The silence was physical, like the air thickened. Brent tries to Alt-tab. His hands are shaking so hard he hits the wrong key and opens the email chain. The first line visible. Per your instructions, second tranche sent to your personal account. The CEO goes very calmly, Brent, step away from the laptop. 2 security guys appear from the side door like they were waiting for a cue. Brent stands up sputtering that it's a misunderstanding, and the CEO says, we'll let the auditors decide. They escorted him out in front of everyone. 10 minutes earlier, he was about to have me handcuffed. Now he was being walked past Mara's desk, while she watched with this stunned, watery smile. Later, we learned he'd been skimming for years and tried to frame me because I was the only one who could trace it. His big twist lasted exactly 1 slide before karma yanked the HDMI cable out of his life. Story 2. I'm the oldest kid in a very tired divorce. Dad was the fun one. Mom was the one who actually knew our allergies. When they split, Dad told everyone Mom was keeping us from him. He swore in court that he wanted 50-50 because he was a present father. I was 16, my brother was 12, my sister was 9. The custody hearing was in this beige courtroom that smelled like old coffee. Dad's lawyer went first. He did the whole dramatic thing. Mr. Carver has been alienated from his children. He pays support. He shows up. He's the victim of a bitter ex-wife. Dad even sniffed like he was holding back tears. Then, his lawyer unveiled the ultimate plot twist. A thick binder of evidence proving Mom's instability. Screenshots of Mom venting in a private group. A list of therapy appointments. A note she once left on the fridge that said, I'm drowning. He turned to the judge like he'd just revealed a killer's confession. The judge nodded slowly and said he understood. Then he looked at Mom's attorney. Your response? Mom's attorney stood. Your Honor, we'd like to call the children. Dad's face did this quick, confident flicker like, perfect. They'll pick me. He even leaned back, arms crossed. I took the stand first. My stomach was a fist. The judge asked where I wanted to live. I said, mostly with Mom. Dad's lawyer jumped up. Objection, coaching, blah blah. The judge waved him down. Then my brother got up. He said, Dad forgets to feed us dinner when we're there. Dad went pale. My sister started crying before she even spoke. She said, Daddy says to tell the judge Mommy is mean or he'll be sad. Dad's lawyer tried to salvage it. Kids say things. They're confused. We have documentation. Mom's attorney calmly handed the bailiff a thumb drive. With the court's permission, we'd like to play Exhibit 12. Video from Mr. Carver's own doorbell camera. Dad jolted upright. What? No. That's private. The screen turned on. It was Dad on his front porch talking to his girlfriend, laughing. You could hear him clearly. The binder's gonna wreck her. The kids will pick me. Worst case, I get more child support. Best case, she breaks and I don't have to deal with her anymore. He'd forgotten the camera record's audio. He'd emailed the clip to his brother to brag, and his brother, my uncle, sent it to Mom. Dad's lawyer made a noise like a deflating tire. The judge's eyes got very cold. Mr. Carver, he said, Do you understand that you just admitted to manipulating both your children and this court? Dad opened his mouth and nothing came out. He'd walked in thinking he was the genius with the twist. He walked out with supervised visitation and a perjury referral, while Mom held my sister's hand in the hallway and I realized what brutal karma looks like in real time. Story 3. I was maid of honor at my cousin Nina's wedding. She's the kind of person who buys matching pajamas for her dog, her fiancé Leo, and herself. Everyone wanted that day to be perfect. The venue was a vineyard with fairy lights and a string quartet doing Sweet Caroline, like it was classical. Then the best man, Jared, grabbed the mic for his toast. Jared is a walking alpha podcast. He'd been salty all weekend because Nina didn't want a joke roast at her wedding. He starts with the usual, "Leo, you lucky man," and everybody relaxes. Then he smirks and says, "All right, time for the surprise." Oh no. He pulls out his phone, clicks his airdrop to the big TV the venue uses for slideshows. "Leo," he announces, "told me something last month he promised to share today. You're all gonna love this." The screen lights up with a group chat titled, "Groom's Backup Plan." There are photos of a girl in lingerie, texts like, "If I get cold feet, you're the getaway car," and Leo saying, "Nina won't ever find out, she's too trusting." The room does that collective inhale thing. Nina's mom makes a strangled sound. Leo goes white as paper. Jared beams like he just dropped the sickest plot twist in history. "Consider it a pre-marriage honesty check." Silence. Then a voice from the back, "Oh, what that chat?" We all turn. It's Tasha, the girl in the photos. She's not supposed to be here. She walks forward, calm, holding her own phone. "Jared, you didn't tell them the rest." Jared's grin falters. "Tasha, what are you?" She takes the mic smoothly. "Hi, everyone. I'm Jared's girlfriend. Or I was, until this morning when I found out he's been sleeping with my sister." The vineyard basically froze. Jared's jaw dropped. "That's not..." Tasha taps her phone, and a slideshow appears. Jared kissing Tasha's sister at a bar last week. Jared DMing her. "Don't worry, Tasha's clueless." A Venmo note from Jared to the sister. "Last night was..." Then Tasha turns to Nina. "I'm sorry your day got hijacked." Leo's trash for that chat, but Jared? He staged this because he likes being the center of attention. He told me he wanted to go viral off your wedding. Jared lunges for the TV remote. The venue manager steps in. People start whispering, some laughing, some furious. Nina looks at Leo, eyes wet but steady, and says quietly, "Take your ring. Leave." Leo tries to talk, but Nina's brothers already have him by the elbows. Jared opens his mouth to defend himself, and Tasha says, loud enough for the whole vineyard, "Don't. You wanted a public moment? Here, enjoy it." She walked out first. Jared followed, red-faced, with half the guests filming him like he'd paid for the humiliation package. His ultimate plot twist lasted about 30 seconds before karma turned the spotlight on the real clown. Story 4. I'm a paralegal, which means I watch adults try to emotionally suplex each other using PDFs. The craziest case I ever sat in on was a neighborhood HOA war that somehow escalated to my boss's courtroom. The plaintiff was a guy named Roger who treated the HOA like his personal Jedi Council. He'd fined people for excessive wind chimes. He'd sent a cease and desist about a toddler's chalk drawings because they were unauthorized exterior art. His target was a young couple, the Tereses, who put up a tiny free library. Roger claimed it violated 3 bylaws and endangered property values. He even demanded they pay for his legal research time. Court day, Roger marched in with a rolling suitcase. He winked at us like he was about to reveal a murder weapon. On the stand, he did the big theatrical sigh. "I hate to be this person, Your Honor, but rules exist for a reason." Then he unveiled his ultimate plot twist, a color printout of a property survey showing the free library was allegedly on HOA common land. "So it's not even on their property," he said, triumphant. "They're trespassing, and since they've refused to remove it, I'm requesting the maximum fine and an injunction." The judge, a tired woman with the patience of a saint, examined the survey. "Interesting," she said. "Where did you obtain this?" Roger puffed up. "From county records. It proves my point exactly." My boss stood. "Your Honor, may I approach with Exhibit B?" He handed over a tablet. "This," he said, "is the full county record. Mr. Roger submitted only page 2. He tapped play on a screen recording. The judge watched. Roger's smile started to slide. "Page 1, my boss narrated, shows that Mr. Roger's fence, which he installed last summer without approval, extends 6 feet into that same common area." He zoomed in on a red rectangle labeled encroachment. Roger sputtered, "That's a clerical error." "And page 3, my boss continued, shows Mr. Rogers' shed is also over the line, which he rented out on Airbnb, in direct violation of Bylaw 7.4. Roger actually stood up. That's irrelevant. The judge didn't even blink. Mr. Roger, you brought me a partial record to accuse your neighbors of trespass. In doing so, you've handed this court proof that you are trespassing on HOA land. We all heard it at once. The slap of irony. She dismissed his claim. Then, right there, she ordered him to remove the fence and shed within 30 days and referred the Airbnb issue to the city. Roger walked in thinking he'd be the crusader exposing lawbreakers. He walked out facing fines that were literally modeled after his own complaint. In the hallway, he hissed at us. "You tricked me." My boss just said, "No, Roger. You tricked yourself." With a suitcase. Story 5. I'm the new partner character in someone else's messy story, which is never a peaceful job description. I dated Evan for 8 months. He was sweet, a little scattered, said his last relationship ended because his ex, Priya, was secretive. He told me they were fully done, paperwork filed, no loose ends. One Friday night, he invites me to this fancy restaurant because we have something to celebrate. He shows up in a blazer, nervous but excited. I'm thinking maybe promotion, maybe he's going to say the L word. Halfway through dessert, Evan says, "There's someone I want you to meet." I blink. He gestures to the hostess, who walks over with a woman in a red coat. It's Priya. My stomach hits the floor. Evan takes my hand and says, "I'm so sorry you had to find out like this. Priya and I aren't divorced. We're still legally married. I didn't know how to tell you, but I'm telling you now." He turns to Priya, as if this is all scripted, and adds, "We're here to finalize it. I'm choosing her. I know it's brutal, but it's the truth." I couldn't keep lying. That was his ultimate plot twist. The restaurant went quiet in the way places do when a scene starts. I looked at Priya, waiting for her to explode. Instead, she smiled. Small, almost pitying. She said, "Evan, I'm not here because you're choosing me." He froze. "What?" Priya pulled a folder from her bag and slid it onto the table. "I'm here because my lawyer said it would be good for you to receive these in public." Evan laughed, confused. "Priya, what is this?" "Divorce papers," she said. "But not the ones you think." She opened the folder and turned it so all of us could see. At the top, petition for annulment and fraud claim. Under that, a list of bank transfers. Photos of Evan with a different woman. Screenshots of him asking Priya to sign a loan for our future while he wired money to crypto exchanges. She looked at me. "Hi, I'm sorry. I didn't know about you until last week." Then she looked back at him. "You told me you were in rehab for gambling. You weren't. You were draining the joint account and using my credit." I froze everything. The bank flagged it. "The detective is waiting outside." Evan's face did that slow crumble thing like wet paper. "Detective?" Right on cue, 2 plainclothes officers walked in. The hostess pointed. One of them approached calmly. "Evan Collins?" He tried to stand. His knee caught the table. Wine sloshed. The whole restaurant watched him get cuffed between the ficus and the bar while Priya stared straight ahead, breathing like she'd been holding it in for years. I didn't say a word. I just got up, left my napkin folded, and walked out behind them into the night air. His twist was meant to humiliate me and restore his old life in one dramatic move. Instead, the only thing he finalized that night was the moment karma picked a seat at our table. Story 6. I'm a respiratory therapist, so I basically live in the ICU hallways. This happened on a Tuesday at 3 a.m., which is the hour when everyone's brain turns into soup. We had a new attending, Dr. Klein, fresh from some big-name hospital and loaded with ego. He liked to narrate lives. If he intubated someone, he'd say stuff like, "This is why you don't panic, people," like it was a TED Talk. No one could stand him, especially nurses he treated like furniture. That night, a code came in from the ER. Middle-aged guy, airway swelling, anaphylaxis. We sprinted down. The resident was at the head of the bed trying to visualize. The nurse was pushing epi, and I'm bagging. Dr. Klein pushes in, claps once, and goes, "All right, step aside." This is a teaching moment. He has this habit of making everything a show. He literally asked someone to start recording for educational review. The ER has a mounted camera system for training, so a tech hits record. Klein leans over the patient and says loudly, "Watch closely. When you're good, you don't need a second attempt." Then he turns to the resident and, I kid you not, says, "You were about to do it wrong. I'm saving this guy." That was his ultimate plot twist, declaring the resident useless in front of everyone, crowning himself the hero. He goes in for the tube and misses. Tries again, misses again. The guy's sats are falling. Klein gets flustered and starts forcing the laryngoscope like he's digging for treasure. The resident quietly says, Sir, Creco is better now? But Klein waves him off with this irritated hiss. Third attempt. The patient vomits. Klein jerks back, slips in it, and smacks his own face on the bed rail hard enough to split his eyebrow. Blood everywhere. The nurse says, dead flat. Doctor down. We had to pull Klein away because he was dizzy and one of his gloves tore. The resident slid in, did a calm surgical airway in under a minute, and got the patient stable. Here's the part Klein didn't know. The ER training team reviews recordings automatically. When the sun came up, that clip got flagged for procedure complication. By lunch, admin had the footage of him grandstanding, refusing backup, and face-planting into bodily fluids while a resident cleaned up the mess. He tried to report the resident for insubordination. Instead, he got benched pending investigation. The resident got nominated for a safety award. Klein's hero monologue lasted maybe 10 seconds. Karma didn't even wait for the credits to roll. Story 7. I'm the friend who always sits in the back at competitions, pretending I'm chill while my stomach does parkour. My buddy Leo was in the state robotics finals. Think high school kids, big arenas, parents screaming like it's the Super Bowl. Their biggest rival school had a captain named Serena, who played nice all season but was ruthless in private. 2 rounds before finals, Serena accidentally bumped Leo's team table and a motor connector cracked. She gasped and apologized so sweetly you could taste the fake sugar. We fixed it. Barely. Leo was furious, but he's too polite to start drama. I, however, am built different. Also petty. Finals arrive. Huge crowd. Live stream. Serena rolls out her robot and asks for the mic. The judges hand it over because she's student leadership. She smiles at the camera and goes, "Before we begin, I think it's important to be transparent about ethics." Uh-oh. She pulls out a USB stick like she's unveiling nuclear codes. We received evidence that Team 47, Leo's team, has been using code from last year's champions. That's a direct rules violation. I'm submitting proof now. She turns to the big screen. Her ultimate plot twist is a folder of Leo's code, with highlighted sections that look identical to last year's winner. The crowd murmurs. Leo goes pale. His coach starts whispering frantically. Serena's eyes are shining. She's already tasting the trophy. The referee says, "We'll review," and then the arena screen updates again. Not her folder. A different window pops up. The competition software's autolog. It lists every USB inserted into the judge's laptop that day, with timestamps and school IDs. Right there, in 72-point font. USB device inserted. Serena M., Northvale HS, 8 minutes ago. File copied. Team 47 code. .zip. Source. Serena M's drive. Turns out the judge's laptop auto-broadcast logs to the live stream overlay for transparency. None of us even knew that feature existed. You could feel the crowd swivel. Leo's coach slowly raised his hand and said, "We never submitted that zip." Serena went rigid. The system is wrong." The head judge asked her to step aside. Her coach tried to intervene. The judge just pointed at the screen again, calm as a guillotine. "The system is not wrong. It's signed and time-stamped." They disqualified her team on the spot for attempted sabotage. Leo's team got reinstated, and the finals started with Serena being escorted out past 1,000 phones recording her meltdown. She tried to rewrite the story as she lit the match. The log was the fire alarm. Story 8. I'm the youngest cousin, so my designated job is sit quietly and absorb family trauma. This one happened at my granddad's will reading. Granddad was old-school quiet. Never talked feelings, just fixed things and made sure people ate. After he died, the family gathered in a lawyer's office that smelled like lemon cleaner and pressure. Everyone expected the money to go mostly to Uncle Ray, because Ray is loud and handles stuff. Aunt Denise brought homemade brownies no one touched. My mom gripped my knee like a stress ball. Then Ray goes, "Before we start, I need to say something. For fairness." It was the tone of someone about to drop a grenade and then claim it was for safety. He turns to my cousin Maya, Denise's daughter, and goes, "Maya, you deserve to know. You're not actually Granddad's grandkid." Maya blinked. Denise's face drained. Ray lifts a manila envelope. "I found adoption papers in his safe. Granddad adopted you when Denise was pregnant. So legally, you're not blood. And I don't think it's right you inherit equal shares." Ultimate plot twist. Ray had always been the truth teller, the guy who loved catching people off guard. You could see him gearing up for the righteous victory lap. The lawyer, tiny woman, steel spine, didn't look shocked at all. She just said, "Thank you for bringing that up. Mr. Alvarez anticipated this conversation." She slid a second envelope onto the table. "He requested this be opened if anyone challenged Maya's share." Ray smirked like, "Perfect. He knows I'm right. He grabbed it. Inside was a DNA report. The lawyer read aloud. To any of my children who need proof of who I loved, here's proof instead of arguing. Ray Alvarez. Probability of paternity, 0%. Ray laughed once, like a hiccup. That's fake. The lawyer didn't blink. It's from the hospital genetics lab. Mr. Alvarez did it last year. Silence in a room full of people who have never done silence well. My mom whispered, "Oh my God." Denise started crying. Half relief, half old pain. Maya just stared at Ray like he'd turned into an alien. Granddad's letter, dated, signed, sealed, explained he'd known for decades that Ray wasn't his biological son, but raised him anyway. He also wrote, anyone who tries to cut Maya out cuts themselves out. The will redistributed Ray's share to Maya and Denise the moment he contested. Like a trust fall with a trapdoor. Ray came in ready to expose a secret and claim the throne. He walked out not just disinherited, but suddenly untethered from the identity he'd weaponized his whole life. The last thing Granddad ever did was outplay him from the grave. Story 9. I live across the street from a woman who engineered her whole personality for Instagram. Soft life, community queen. Her name is Paige, and she filmed more sunsets than a nature documentary. When our town flooded last spring, Paige launched a fundraiser. She went live nightly, crying perfect tears into a ring light. She posted receipts, thanked donors, called herself just a neighbor trying to help. Then people started noticing the help wasn't showing up. The shelter said they'd gotten zero from her. A local mom group asked questions, and Paige snapped, publicly. So she staged her comeback. A huge live stream called The Truth. She invited half the town by tagging them. I watched because I'm nosy and because this felt like watching a car reverse toward a wall. Paige starts the stream in her kitchen with a stack of papers. Some people are trying to smear me, she says, eyes wide and watery. But I have proof. Her ultimate plot twist was a printed email thread she claimed was from the shelter director saying, "We received everything." Paige is a hero. She held it up to the camera like Moses with tablets. The comments blew up. OMG, she's innocent. Apologize. Haters are sick. She smiled for the first time in weeks. Then she added, and I know who started the rumor. She reads a name, Rachel, a nurse in town, and says, Rachel didn't want me to succeed. She's jealous. Here are her DMs. She screen shares. Except what popped up wasn't Rachel's DMs. It was Paige's payment dashboard. Big, clean interface because she hit the wrong tab. Across the top in bold, funds withdrawn to linked account, $18,400. Under that, linked account nickname, Paige, new Jeep. She froze mid-sentence. You could literally watch her brain reboot. Comments went dead for 2 seconds, then turned into a tsunami. Wait, what? New Jeep? Screenshot this. Call the police. She lunged for her phone to end the stream. Too late. The platform saves live replays automatically. And because her stream was public, people were already clipping it. One guy in the comments tagged a reporter. 5 minutes later, Paige posted a story saying she got hacked. 10 minutes after that, the fundraiser site itself posted on their official account, "We have frozen this campaign pending investigation." The next morning, a tow truck pulled a shiny black SUV out of her driveway while 2 officers stood by. I know because I was watering my plants like it was a nature show. She tried to flip the narrative in real time, on her own stage. Karma didn't even need a response video. She handed it the receipts herself. Story 10. I'm a high school English teacher. And graduation is supposed to be that soft, proud moment where you pretend you weren't all one group chat away from mutiny all year. Our valedictorian, Clara, was brilliant and sharp in a way that made adults puff up like, yes, the future is safe, but she had a vendetta. There was another top student, Jay, who'd transferred in mid-year and somehow matched Clara's GPA. Clara hated that. On graduation day, Clara comes to me beforehand and says, I added something to my speech. It's important. She had that tight smile that makes teachers nervous. We get to the ceremony. Stadium full. Families. Streamed for relatives who couldn't travel. Clara steps up to the podium, taps the mic, and starts sweet. Gratitude, teachers, parents, all the good stuff. Then she shifts tone. But I can't stand here without talking about integrity. My stomach sank. She says, someone in our class cheated their way to the top. I have proof. People start turning their heads like prairie dogs. She looks right at Jay in the front row. You submitted an essay copied from an online archive. You thought no one would notice. Ultimate plot twist. Public accusation at graduation. The crowd gasps. Jay looks like he got punched. Clara pulls out her phone. I emailed the principal the screenshots. But since we're celebrating truth today, she turns her phone toward the big teleprompter screen we use for captions. Except the screen didn't show her email. It showed her Notes app. Because the AV guy had linked her phone for the speech text, and Clara forgot to close everything else. The top note on screen, 12 feet wide, was titled, Grad Speech. Paste from Stanford Address. Below it, paragraphs with visible blue hyperlinks. Even the original speaker's name left in one line. As Dr. Rodriguez once said, there was this horrible, slow ripple through the stands as thousands of people realized at the same time that Clara was reading a stolen speech while accusing someone else of plagiarism. Clara followed the crowd's noise with her eyes, still trying to talk. And that's why honesty, the principal stood up, walked to the podium, and gently took the mic. Clara's face went blank like a switched-off TV. He announced we'd pause for a technical issue. But the live stream didn't pause. Everyone watching at home saw it all, including the scholarship committee tuned in from the state university. Jay didn't say a word. He just stood, picked up his folder, and walked out with his family, heads high in a way that made my throat tighten. Clara's parents were still clapping for a second before they understood why no one else was. She tried to end the year as the hero exposing a cheater. Instead, her own cut-and-paste confession loomed behind her like a billboard. And the last thing she heard before leaving the stage was a kid in the bleachers yelling, "Bro, she plagiarized her plagiarism call-out." Story 11. I'm a bus driver, which means I've seen every flavor of human behavior from sweet grandma with cookies to guy who argues with a door. This one happened on my regular 6:40 a.m. route. There's this dude, Connor, who rides twice a week in a crisp suit with the energy of someone who thinks the world is an inconvenience he pays to tolerate. He always sits in the front, on his phone, loud enough for the whole bus to learn his salary history. One rainy morning we're packed, standing room only. A pregnant woman gets on, maybe 7 months, holding her belly like it's a bowling ball. She looks around for a seat. No one moves at first because people are half asleep. Connor looks up, clocks her, then smirks and stays planted. She hesitates, then politely says, "Excuse me, could I sit? I'm not feeling great." Connor sighs theatrically and goes, "You should have planned your commute before choosing to get pregnant." A couple people gasp. I glance in the mirror and he's enjoying it, like he just landed the final blow in a debate. Then he stands up, loud as a stage actor. "Actually, you know what? I will give you my seat. But I'm taking a video so you can't say I didn't. People like you love to play victim." He pulls out his phone, flips to selfie mode, and narrates, "Here we see a textbook case of entitlement. Watch me be the bigger person." Ultimate plot twist. He's turning her discomfort into content, framing it as his moral victory. He steps into the aisle to heroically gesture at the seat, right as the bus hits a slick patch. I brake gently, but rain plus physics is what it is. Connor's foot slides forward, his briefcase goes the other way, and he windmills like a cartoon. He lands on his own suitcase. Hard. The exact moment. His phone is recording his smug face turning into panic. The bus erupts into sound. Someone yelps, someone laughs. The pregnant woman goes, "Oh my God," and reaches out like she's going to help him anyway, because she's a decent human. Connor sits up, shaking, trying to play it off. Then a wet ripping noise. His expensive slacks have split clean down the seam. Bright, humiliating white underwear. Front row. 20 witnesses. His phone is still in his hand, still recording, now pointed at his lap like a betrayal. He fumbles to stop it and hits post to story instead. I know because 3 seconds later, the notification chime pings, and the screen flashes, uploaded. 2 teenage girls in the back howl. One goes, "Bro just live-streamed his own butt crack." Connor bolts off at the next stop, jacket tied around his waist, face the color of a stop sign. The pregnant woman sat down without another word, staring out the window like she'd just watched Karma do parkour. I drove on thinking, man tried to turn kindness into a performance. The universe said, "Cool, here's your audience." Story 12. I'm the quiet sibling in a loud family. My brother Omar is the loudest. He's also the kind of guy who believes every disagreement is a courtroom drama, even when we're just picking pizza toppings. Our mom had a small stroke last year. She recovered, but it scared us into finally talking about long-term care. Mom wanted to stay in her house. I live 10 minutes away. Omar lives across the country but has big opinions and zero follow-through. We're at Mom's kitchen table with her paperwork spread out. The vibe is fragile. Mom's hands are a little shaky pouring tea. Omar is pacing like a lawyer on TV. He suddenly goes, "Okay, I'm done pretending. You're not here for Mom. You're here for the house." Mom blinks. I feel heat crawl up my neck. Omar pulls out a folder and slaps it on the table. Ultimate plot twist. Evidence. He says, "I've been recording your calls with her. You keep steering her towards signing the house over to you. I'm not letting you scam her. Mom looks at me like she's been slapped. I say, what are you talking about? Omar grins this tight, victorious grin. Oh, you'll see. I sent it to my lawyer. And Mom, to protect you, I already filed to become your financial guardian. Emergency petition. You don't have to worry about her manipulating you anymore. Mom's face goes calm in a way I hadn't seen since I was a kid, doing something truly dumb. She sets the teacup down very carefully and says, Omar, what did you just file? He puffs up. Guardianship. So, I'm in charge of your accounts. Safer that way. Mom nods once. You remember the power of attorney you signed last summer when you were here for 3 days? Omar falters. Yeah? She opens a drawer and takes out a notarized document. Slides it across. You revoked it. You were furious I wouldn't co-sign your startup loan. You screamed that I was dead weight and signed the revocation in front of Lisa at the bank. Omar stares. I was stressed. Mom keeps going, voice still gentle. After that, I updated my directive. The only durable POA is me and your sister. And I added a clause. Any child who petitions for control after revocation gets $1. Omar's mouth opens and closes like a fish. You can't do that. Mom looks him dead in the eyes. I already did. 2 months ago. He scrambles for the folder again. But her calls? Mom taps the folder. You recorded private medical conversations without consent. In 2 states. Did your lawyer tell you that part? His face drains. He'd been so busy staging a moral ambush that he missed the landmine under his own feet. He left early saying he'd fix this, but there was nothing to fix. Mom just sat there, tired and sad, and said softly, I wanted you to love me, not own me. That sentence hit me harder than any twist Omar ever tried to pull. Story 13. I'm the stage manager for a community theater, which is basically babysitter for adults with feelings and wigs. We were opening a new show. Big deal for our town. Full house, local press, actors vibrating with adrenaline. Our lead, Vanessa, was a star in the peaked-in-high-school way. Amazing voice. Also convinced the universe owed her standing ovations on demand. She'd been feuding with our understudy, May, who was younger and quietly better. Vanessa called her a threat, like May was a weather system. Opening night, Q1 goes smooth. Act I is clean. At intermission, Vanessa corners me backstage and says, Tonight is special. I'm making a statement. I ask what she means. She smiles like a cat who found a laser pointer. Act 2 starts. There's a quiet emotional scene where May, as a supporting character, has a short solo. It's supposed to be a fragile moment. House is silent. Vanessa isn't on stage for this part, but she's watching from the wings, jaw tight. Right as May starts her song, Vanessa walks out. Not in character, not in costume, just steps into the light in her black warm-ups, waving. The audience gasps. May falters. Vanessa takes center stage and says into the mic, Sorry, folks. We need to address something before this goes further. Ultimate plot twist. She's hijacking opening night. She turns to May and goes, You've been undermining me. I found your messages about taking my role. I won't let you sabotage this show. Then she whips out her phone and says, I'm projecting receipts. Everyone deserves the truth. Our projectionist, thinking it's part of the show, because theater is chaos, throws her phone to the screen. It's not May's texts. It's Vanessa's group chat with 2 other actors titled, Get May Out. Visible on the giant backdrop. She's too good, makes me look old. Trip her up on vocals. If she quits, problem solved LOL, and the pièce de résistance. A voice note transcript where Vanessa says, I'll accuse her first. No one believes the sweet girl is shady. There's this awful half-second where Vanessa reads it too, realized what's happening, and does a tiny backward step like she's been pushed. Somebody in the audience laughed, nervous at first, then louder, then a ripple. Because there it was, her plan in 40-foot font. May stood frozen, then quietly said into her mic, I have never sent a message about Vanessa's role. I just wanted to sing. Vanessa grabbed for her phone. The projectionist yanked the feed, but it didn't matter. The audience had already seen her soul. She ran off stage. We finished the show without her. May stepped into a role she hadn't rehearsed for that night and nailed it with tears in her eyes. After curtain call, the crowd stood for May, like the universe rearranged the spotlight in real time. Vanessa tried to twist the story into I'm the victim. The projector handed her the mirror she was trying to smash. Story 14. I'm a mechanic. Not a fancy one. Just a guy who fixes cars and listens to customers lie about oil changes. The dealership hired a new sales manager, Trip, who treated the showroom like a game show and the rest of us like props. He loved ambushes. If a tech missed a note, Trip would announce it over the PA like he was narrating a crime documentary. One Friday, corporate visits. Big chance for Trip to look good. He's been bragging all week about his revolutionary customer satisfaction plan. We're all stuck in the service bay while he sets up a presentation in the showroom. He pulls everyone out, even us greasy gremlins, because he wants an audience. Trip starts with slick slides and buzzwords. Then he says, "Now for the surprise." He gestures to a car under a satin cover. "We're gifting a free upgrade to the customer who complained most this year to prove we listen." He whips the cover off. Except the car isn't a promo vehicle. It's Mrs. Halpern's silver hatchback, still on our lift list, no paperwork signed. She's an 80-year-old widow who comes in for light bulbs and calls me young man. Mrs. Halpern is sitting in the front row, confused. Trip beams at her. "Congratulations! You're getting a new engine on us today. No charge." Ultimate plot twist. Turning her complaint into a PR miracle. Corporate claps politely. Mrs. Halpern looks panicked. "Oh, honey, I didn't want that. I can't afford." Trip laughs like she's adorable. No, free. Unless you don't want a free engine?" He says it loud like she's ungrateful. Cameras are up. Her hands start shaking. I step forward. "Trip, that car isn't cleared. It's under warranty investigation." He waves me off. "Relax, we're making magic here." Corporate VP frowns. "Warranty investigation?" I take a breath. "Ma'am, that vehicle came in because the engine failed after an oil change that our sales department sold as complimentary with her last purchase. We found the oil drain plug finger tight. No oil. It's seized." The VP's face changes. "Are you saying your shop caused the failure?" I nod. "We're saying someone who isn't a tech touched it. We pulled the security footage. It was Trip. He was trying to help because the line was long." Trip's smile doesn't drop so much as evaporate. "That's not, I was..." The VP lifts a hand. "Do you have the footage?" I say. "It's already uploaded to the warranty portal because that's what a warranty investigation is." Corporate goes very still. They'd walked in to watch Trip be a hero. Instead, they learned he'd torched an old lady's engine and tried to use her as a marketing prop to cover it. Mrs. Halpern starts crying quietly. I crouch beside her and promise we'll take care of her car. The VP tells Trip to come with him right now. Trip doesn't even argue. He just looks small all of a sudden. Later we heard he was fired on the spot and corporate comped Mrs. Halpern a whole new car, not an engine. She hugged every tech in the bay. Trip tried to pull a feel-good twist in front of the suits. Karma rolled the security tape. Story 15. I'm a dorm RA, so my job is basically damage control with a lanyard. This one was during finals week, when everyone's stress is sharp enough to cut glass. We had a resident named Kira who ran a study group that was really a power cult. She'd hoard past exams, decide who got access, and act like she was doing charity. People kissed her ring because Bio 201 is a monster. Her biggest rival was a quiet kid named Thomas. He didn't need her notes, so she hated him in that petty, how dare you be self-sufficient way. 2 days before our bio final, Kira announces a group review night in the lounge. Entire floor comes. Even kids from other dorms. She stands at the whiteboard like a professor. Halfway through, she says, "Oh, one more thing." She flicks her laptop to the TV. Ultimate plot twist on a dorm scale. She's about to publicly ruin Thomas. She says, "Thomas has been selling fake copies of my study guide. He altered them. If you bought one, I'm so sorry. I have proof." Then she shows screenshots of a Venmo account named Thomas Notes, with payments labeled Bio Guide. The room shifts toward Thomas like gravity. His face goes red. That's not me." Kira crosses her arms. "Then why the Venmo?" Here's what Kira didn't know. Our university rolled out a new payment policy that week. Suspicious peer-to-peer transactions auto-trigger a fraud check by campus IT. If you project the payment page on an official university network, it pops a banner with verification details for transparency. Kira's screen suddenly flashes a big red notice. Account verified to Kira B. Full name, student ID, linked phone, Kira's number. Recent edits, account name changed from Kira Study Guides to Thomas Notes. Today at 6:12 p.m. She had literally created the Venmo, renamed it to frame him, and the system annotated her crime in real time. A kid in the back goes, "Wait, that's your student ID." Someone else says, "Bro, she edited it. Today." Kira stammers, "No, that's a glitch." Thomas stands up slowly, voice shaking but clear. "So you were selling guides? And when you got nervous, you tried to pin it on me." Kira looks around for allies and finds none. The study group she'd controlled like a queen bee just turned into a jury. A pre-med girl who'd been worshipping Kira all semester says quietly, "You told us you were helping for free." Kira's eyes fill with real tears now. I was just trying to protect people from bad info. Thomas grabs his backpack and leaves. Not dramatic, just done. Next morning, campus IT emailed everyone the same fraud report Kira had tried to weaponize. She got an academic integrity hearing, and the bio professor announced the final would be entirely new because of unauthorized material circulating. Kira tried to drop a twist that would crown her savior and Thomas villain. Instead, she detonated her own empire and took the black market exam cash with her. Finals week karma is efficient like that. Story 16. I signed up for a weekend survival reset because my therapist said I needed to do something that wasn't doom scrolling. It was run by this local outdoors influencer, Jory, who marketed himself like Bear Grylls if Bear Grylls sold protein powder. We meet at a trailhead at dawn. There are 10 of us, all in brand new boots. Jory shows up with a drone, a GoPro, and a voice that only exists on motivational podcasts. First hour is fine. We learn knots, we filter water, we pretend we're not winded. By hour 3, things get theatrical. Jory stopped letting anyone take breaks unless he could film it. If someone struggled, he'd say, "Lean into discomfort," and pan the camera to their sweaty face like it was inspirational content. Then we reach this rocky ridge, and Jory goes, "Okay, here's the ultimate plot twist for this weekend." He grins like he's about to drop a secret boss level. I didn't tell you this part to weed out the weak. We're going off trail to a hidden lake no one knows about. No phones, no GPS, just instinct. A couple people look nervous. One woman says quietly, "Is that allowed?" The ranger station said to stay on marked paths. Jory laughs. Rules are for people who don't know what they're doing. Trust me, he makes a big show of collecting our phones for the experience. We're all torn between annoyed and starstruck. He tucks them into his pack and leads us down this steep, crumbly gully. 10 minutes later, we hear an ATV. 2 rangers roll up from a side trail. One of them calls out, "Sir, you're in a restricted watershed zone. You need to come back up." Jory pivots so his chest is to us, not them. "Perfect teaching moment," he whispers loudly. Then he turns to the rangers and goes full hero voice. "Officers, I'm guiding a private retreat. I have permits." "We're fine." He didn't. He was bluffing for us. That was his twist. Make us think he was some renegade expert above normal people rules. The ranger says, "Permits for this area require a guide license." "Can we see it?" Jory's smile flickers. "It's digital. No service. So you don't have it," the ranger replies, flat. Jory tries to double down. "Listen, we're already committed. Turning back would be unsafe. I'm responsible for them." As he says unsafe, his heel slides on wet shale. It's like the mountain waited for his line. He drops straight onto his pack with a thud that sucked the air out of all of us. The ranger jogs over. "You okay?" Jory is groaning and trying to sit up. The ranger unzips the pack to check his back and, oops, pulls out a bundle of our phones. Not locked away for mindfulness, literally taken so no one could call for help or prove he went off trail. The other ranger's face hardens. "You confiscated participants' phones and brought them into a restricted zone without a license?" Jory opens his mouth, then closes it. He looks at us like we're supposed to rescue him from consequences. They called an ambulance for his back. He couldn't stand. But they also called a supervisor. While Jory lay there in his "I'm the Alpha Guide" jacket, the rangers handed us our phones and started taking his statement. The last thing he managed to croak at me was, "Tell them this was part of the experience." I just said, "Bud, the experience is happening." Story 17. I'm the assistant coach for a girls' soccer team. We're not famous, but in our town, varsity playoffs are basically the Oscars with shin guards. Our head coach, Marla, is old school tough, and our star striker, Tien, is a humble little machine who breaks records and never trash talks. Our rival coach, Dax, trash talks for a living. Before the semi-final, Dax cornered Marla near midfield while parents were filing in. He was smiling like he'd rehearsed it in the mirror. "Hey, Marla," he said loud enough for people to hear. "Just so you know, I've got something for after the game. You're gonna love the surprise." We win 3-2 on a last-minute goal. Crowd's nuts, kids crying, whole movie moment. Our girls sprint to the stands. Dax doesn't shake hands. Instead, he waves the tournament director over and points at Tien like she stole his car. "Now," Dax announces, "time for the ultimate plot twist. Your top scorer is ineligible." Everyone freezes. He produces a plastic sleeve with papers. We obtained her birth certificate. She's 19. That's over the limit. She's been playing adults in a teen league. Disqualify them or the whole tournament is a joke. Gasps ripple through the bleachers. Teen looks stunned, like someone hit pause on her face. Her mom stands up, shaking. The director takes the papers and flips through them. Quietly says, These aren't certified copies. Dax smirks. We're not idiots. We pulled them online. Same name, same parents. It's her. I say, Tien's an immigrant. Her paperwork's complicated. Dax cuts me off. Complicated? Or convenient? Then Tien's mom walks down to the field, slow but steady, holding a folder like a shield. She hands it to the director and says, Here, certified passport, school records, and the hospital letter from when we corrected her DOB the first week we arrived. She is 17. The director nods, already reading. Dax's smirk falters. That doesn't explain the birth certificate. The director turns one page, then looks up at Dax. Coach, you submitted a birth record for TNN, born in another country, to parents with the same names as your athlete. Yes, but you missed this line. He points at a stamped note in the margin. Record amended. Initial entry fraudulent. Dax blinks. What does that mean? It means, the director says, that certificate was part of a documented identity fraud case 5 years ago. Our federation circulated a memo about it. He pauses. The fraud was committed by a youth club that altered ages to stack tournaments. The director turns to the section with the club's name printed in black. It's Dax's club, the one he ran before coaching the rival school. The field went silent in a way that felt holy. Dax's mouth moved like he was chewing glass. Parents started murmuring his name, not kindly. Coach Dax, the director said, voice suddenly official. You're suspended pending investigation, and for tonight, your team forfeits for filing a false protest. Tien didn't celebrate. She just stared at Dax, confused, wounded, alive to a kind of cruelty she hadn't seen before. He tried to detonate our joy with a lie. The shrapnel came back stamped with his own logo.